Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you so much for joining. It's the Friday Night Love stream. We'll be taking your calls. It was 105 here in Tulsa today. I don't know how hot it got where you're at, but wow, I hope you're staying frosty out there. I did have an announcement to make. I was talking to Debbie Solaris earlier through email, and she's going to be coming back on the show. I did put her link below in case you didn't see when she was on. She's the Galactic Historian. But she's going to be offering, we're not sure how we're going to do it or whatever, but it'll be a free Akashic reading whenever she does come back on. We still got to schedule that, but it'll be soon, probably within a week or so. So make sure you subscribe to her channel, and so you'll be ready for all of that. It's she just got her channel going since she was on last, and she has some of her readings available on her channel, which is super duper interesting. Let's see. Oh, I thought I wasn't going there for a second. Okay, so welcome. I have Pyrrha on the line. She's going to be the first caller. Let me make sure she is unmuted. Pyrrha, where are you calling from?
I am calling from a very little town in North Carolina, pretty close to Pilot Mountain. We kind of talked a little bit prior to this, but Pilot Mountain is actually an extremely strong vortex, and I live in between two ley lines right by the vortex. So kind of a cool location.
Yeah, definitely. And that's North Carolina, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I wanted to type it in here, so North Carolina. That way it's on the screen, and because people ask in the chat, they're like, who is this? Who is this?
Yeah.
Plus, sometimes I like to go back and, when there's something interesting in a call, I like to scan back through and find the caller pretty easily, and this makes it pretty easy. Plus, if you wanted to come back to it or something. So anyway, you had a really cool story, but you can just give us sort of a background at, how you've kind of gotten to this point.
Okay. Well, I've pretty much always been awake to some degree. For as long as I can remember back, I've always remembered the end of my last life and how I died. I've always had precognitive dreams. Through my teens, I had out-of-body experiences, and I've always heard frequency, although up until the last couple of years, it was always before it would rain. I would hear this tone, and I would call it my rain sound, and I knew, within a handful of hours that it would rain, and I could tell by how loud it was or how long it lasted, how big of a storm would be coming. But since I've moved here to this location, everything's changed, and I get frequency downloads so often now that I can't even tell when it's going to rain anymore. So that's pretty cool. Let's see.
And it has to do with the high energy area you're at?
I think so, yeah. I live on this giant granite boulder, and like I said, I'm in between two ley lines, just a few miles southwest of the Vortex Center. And then I have one of the oldest rivers in the world, actually, that's about a half a mile below me. And so it's just such a high power energy area. It's crazy. And people don't know about it because it's so rural out here, and, kind of the southern mentality where, people don't understand or really know about areas like this. So it's taken a lot of research to figure it all out. But I was actually led here. I followed, sounds crazy, but let me just start where everything started. In 2012, I met my twin flame, and about 25 days later, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and she was gone 2 months later. And I had this crazy experience where I was at this little Native American shop, and they had all this jewelry and things around, and I wasn't really even shopping and didn't think that I could afford it anyway, but it was like all of a sudden I got this tunnel vision, and everything around me went dark, and all I could focus on was this dragonfly pendant, and it was like I got this feeling like I knew I had to have it. I felt like for some reason my mom was right there with me and telling me, I need to have it. It'll be okay. I can get it. And, so I did. And I, was kind of thrown back by the whole experience, but I had no idea, what it meant. And then a few months later, I actually was diagnosed myself with breast cancer. And I did the first thing that everybody does when they get sick. I went online and did all this research, and I found out that the dragonfly is kind of the totem for breast cancer survivors or people who are fighting.
Oh,
and
wow.
then it all kind of made sense to me that, this is a sign from my mom that, she was going to be with me. She was going to be by my side. And, the dragonfly became really important to me. So after that, it was all done, and I got done with my treatment, and I was healthy. I decided to come back to where my partner is, and we were looking for different places for me to move. We both work from home in different places, so we moved close to each other, but I got my own spot here. And I've never lived in the middle of nowhere like I do here, and it was a really scary thing, but, I'd follow the dragonfly everywhere, and it led me through my whole healing, and it appeared everywhere through my treatment, and, the signs were all there. So when I got here, I'm like, if I see a sign, I'm going to know I'm supposed to be here. And I looked at the place, and it looked cute, but I was really nervous, and right before I got into my car, all of these dragonflies came. So I knew that I was meant to be here, but I knew nothing about the area. And it was only, after I moved in, I had some crazy experiences start and did the research and found out that it's like this crazy vortex. So I was meant to be here, and I was meant to have these awakening experiences.
That is so wild. Were you watching recently somebody, maybe it was Nathan, had a picture of a dragonfly. Somebody recently, and it made me think of you, that they had a dragonfly in their message. Did you happen to catch the last broadcast with Sam by any chance?
I'm not sure if I did catch the last one, but I might have been listening and maybe not watching so much. I do that a lot.
Right, yeah, me too.
I've always got you on in the background, through my day while I'm working. But, I didn't see it, but that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's something for everyone else to be looking out for, too. And I'd love to have people chime in on whether they've had sort of dragonfly, sort of synchronistic things happen like that. And so you didn't find out about the energy and all of that until you got there. That's amazing. So you were led there by the dragonflies. Now, has it changed having this energy? Because, I've always wanted to travel somewhere. Because they talk about, like, the pyramids or, the Sedona and different places that have these ley lines. And I just wonder, is your, like, meditation experience any different?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I actually, until I moved here and all of these crazy things started happening, I never really meditated. And, in fact, when I had my Kundalini awakening, which, by the way, is so different from anyone else's experience that I've heard lately. It was, I guess you could call it meditating. I had decided to sit down and focus on gratitude and really put the emotions behind what I was feeling for each instance. And so I sat down on my bed and I sat cross-legged and kind of, let my mind go a little bit blank, and then I started thinking about all of the things that I was grateful for and really feeling it. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, this energy, I don't know how else to explain it, this pure white light energy, I could see it, I could feel it, it was a part of me, came up through my stomach, out through the top of my head, and I knew that it was shining out to source, to the universe, to everyone, to everything. And, instantly in that moment, I knew what my purpose was as a light worker, why I was brought to this area. Mm-hmm. And the coolest part was it then came back down kind of in a circular motion up through my root chakra and then back out my head. So it ended up being this like cyclical pattern of energy that I was sending out and that was coming back in. And it was like the best drug you could ever imagine. It was just pure bliss, pure happiness, being in contact with Source like that, and knowing not only why I'm here, but why, many of us are here. And it's to send, that energy out to everyone and everything everywhere, and that it'll come back to us. So, yeah, I would say it's definitely had, some interesting effects being here in meditation.
That's amazing. That's one of those things that, and we'll get into this more with Magenta Pixie on Monday, but a lot of times, we want to remember things. We want to just have this conscious memory of why we're here and everything. But for many of us, we just have this knowing, and we can't really explain it. We just know there's something that we're supposed to be doing here, and it's strange the way that knowing really affects me quite a bit in life. It's just, I don't know how, I just know. And it's not good enough for other people, when you tell other people, because they're like, what do you mean you just know? How do you just know?
Right.
But it's powerful.
Your helpers.
Yeah.
It's your helpers. They're with me as well, and I call it the knowing as well. And it's like, you as soon as you ask yourself that question, it just pops into your head, and you know.
Yeah.
And it's them, whispering it to you, or however you want to think of it, but they're there helping you. So that's awesome that you have that too.
Yeah. And like I said, it's like, I always want more. I wish I could consciously know things like the plan, but it is nice. I mean, it would be better than nothing, just sort of fumbling around in the dark, because
it all happens at the rate that it's supposed to. That's the thing. There are no mistakes in this big thing that's happening, and we just have to have faith that it's going to come to us as we're ready.
Yeah, and you know what? It's actually getting to the point now where it's like I have such a trust that things are going as they are supposed to go, that it's almost sort of a relief that I don't have to be bothered with the details. And that's sort of what I've been getting. It's like, you don't have to be bothered with the details. We got all that. Just trust that you're being led, and, be in the moment and pay attention and get those signs and synchronicities and stuff. So,
right.
So let's move on to some of your other experiences you've had. You've had some out-of-body experiences, right?
Yeah, definitely. I have here. I did when I was a teen, more so than the out-of-body here. Mm-hmm. But it kind of freaked me out. When I was younger, I wasn't sure what was happening or if I was able to get back. And there was still that knowing about the silver cord, but, it was like something was whispering that to me, that I would be okay. But I don't know. I guess maybe I didn't trust myself at that age, or I didn't, trust the experience or what it was. So I wish I would have followed up with that and, kept up with it, because who knows where I could go now. But now it's more, setting the intention before you go to sleep. And, I'll say, I want to go to Egypt and I want to see the pyramids. And, I may not quite get there. In fact, one time, that's where I wanted to go. And I remember I was definitely in Egypt when I arrived, but it was more like on the edge of some industrial town or something. And there was kind of a sandstorm, and I was like, this is not where I want to be. And so, I woke myself back up, and, so I mean, it's not always easy to get to where you want to go, but you can get close. At least that's where I'm at this point.
I totally get that. Yeah, that's wild. So you had some other things we were going to discuss too.
One of the other crazy things was it was the end of April until end of June. So in about 2.5 months, I had 17 rainbows in the exact same location here. It was, 2 to 3 days a week where it would just be like, I knew it was coming, I could feel it come, and then all of a sudden, there they were. And I posted all of them, but the last 2 or 3 on my personal Facebook page, only because the smartphone or dumb phone or whatever you want to call it that I had at the time that I was taking pictures on and filming on, it kind of crapped out on me. So I didn't have the last couple on film. But, yeah, I mean, what a gift. I've been given gifts left and right here. It's like the universe is just, giving me all these wonderful things. It taught me to see energy. I can see energy. It started with daytime energy, and now I can see it at night. Something called I think it's called the diamond, what's it called? Like the diamond shower, diamond energy shower, or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, the energy is so strong here, and I've heard of other people, learning or being able to see it, but when you can see that falling, it's like light snow. I don't know how else to explain it, but I can pretty much see it just about any time. It's beautiful, and
did you happen to read the Celestine prophecies at all?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, okay. That's what that sort of reminded me of when the guy had gone to that garden place or whatever it was, and he learned to see the energies and stuff.
Yeah, by putting his fingers, kind of like moving his fingers together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember doing that when I read the book the first time. Did you do it when you read it?
Yeah. Well, I was actually listening along, and I was at my computer. I didn't really see anything. I think maybe it's an out in nature sort of thing, but
gotcha.
Who knows?
Yeah, I can see stuff like that pretty readily. I've got some Lumerian crystals that, kind of depending on the Schumann resonance and how things are kicking up around, you can actually see the energy coming off of them at night. I mean, I'm so in tune with it, and I think that's one of the reasons my helpers kind of gave me the name Pyrrha. And part of it is, I've been so drawn to this whole energy thing, and there's something to it with me, whether it's the organ or the chi or the scalar or, there's the prana, there's a million names for the same energy, but it's so important in all of this that's happening. And so for whatever reason, I know that it's a part of, my gifts and what I'm supposed to be doing with it. And I've just got to figure out how to harness a little better or figure out what they want me to do with it or, I'm still figuring things out.
I think we all are. So can you see auras by any chance?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially I'm kind of an empath, but I'm the type of empath that it's usually with people that I'm closer with. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the same thing with auras. People that I know, especially with my partner, we'll be together hanging out, and all of a sudden I'll just, really be able to see his aura and what's going on with it. It's nothing ever intended. I can't just look at anyone and say, I want to see your aura, and there it'll be. But that may come.
Right. I'm sure that's how it starts, because you just have that connection, like a mother and child, the way a mom can tell their child's in danger and things like that. There is that connection with people that you're around because you sort of recognize their frequency or their vibrations.
Right.
So there's that attachment. But I can imagine that's going to be expanding. Or maybe we're going to be more in tune as this unity wave comes through and we all become more similar. I would think that we would be able to, that's probably why we can't do telepathy and stuff, is because we're all in such different frequencies and stuff. But as we unify, I can definitely see us all sort of, we'll just know what the other person's, like me and my wife, we've been together so long that we just know what each other's thinking a lot of the time,
Right. It's the same way with my partner. I mean, we're the craziest couple. We've been together for about 6 years now, and we've still never been to a movie together or done any of those things because when we're together, it's such magic. I just don't even know how else to explain it. And we'll spend hours together without speaking, but we're having conversations by just looking in each other's eyes. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Especially when you're with another empath. Like he's also a very strong empath, so that may have something to do with it. But
that's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So when has the big changes happened? Have you noticed, with the energy changes in the world lately, have you noticed any big changes in your life?
Definitely there's things with, the sun looking different, and I've been interested to hear other people talk about that, this crazy white light that's, no longer the golden sun, and beautiful sunsets. And one of the other things that I think the energy is doing where I live is I get a lot of sundogs. Do you know what those are?
Yeah. Are they the rainbow ones or the white ones?
They're the rainbows.
Right.
There's that one cool one. I'm not sure where it is, like Finland or somewhere, where there's that white sundog. I don't know if you've seen that video. It's super cool. But these are the rainbows, and I get those quite often too. So there's something going on here with me and the rainbow energy, that's for sure.
Now, is that the picture you're talking about, is that the one where it looked like they were in a ski resort or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
That one was super cool. Yeah.
So for those who don't know what a sundog is, it's sort of like, it's like, if you can imagine a halo around the sun. Sometimes there's a halo with it, but sometimes it's just like at the 3 and 9 o'clock position, you'll see like a rainbow just on each side of the sun, like the same distance on, the 3 and the 9 o'clock side. But sometimes you can see it. I think the one that we were just talking about, couldn't you see it on all 4 sides?
It was all the way around and had kind of like this cool, I don't know, what you call like a cross between the middle of it almost. And the center looked like it was all empty and crystal clear. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's the coolest video. It's pretty easy to find. You probably post it on your page.
Yeah, and anybody, you could just probably look up sundog and find a lot of examples like that. I think I just saw an image rather than a video, but actually I think I did see the video. I watched
the video's pretty cool. It's only like a minute long or something, but it's awesome.
That's wild. So yeah, the sun's definitely changed. So you're affected by the Mandela effect then?
Absolutely. Just had the weirdest one the other day. For me, I mean, I can see all the ones that, people are also seeing out there, the Berenstein Bears and all of that. But I have kind of some personal ones that happen. Like the other day, I just noticed, I've been here almost 2 years, and my main area that I'm in is this huge sunroom, and there's a light switch, and I just noticed the other day that one of the screws in the switch had changed color. Just, odd little things, but I mean, it's bright white and everything else is black, and so, I mean, come on, I'm in and out of here like 24 hours a day. I would have noticed that before. So, odd little things. But yeah, I mean, I see it all the time.
Yeah, that reminds me of Jeff Daugherty. He's got his own YouTube channel, but he was talking about he was going to pull into a parking spot, and there was like 2 empty spots, and he started like curving to turn into the spots, and 2 cars appeared, and he had to slam on his brakes. I'm like, what? That's crazy. I know he wouldn't lie about that, but that just sounds so far out there, like a sci-fi show or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, crazy stuff like that happens all the time, and you just, you almost kind of just have to train your brain to see it and believe it when you see it. I think that there's something in us. I'm not sure what it is, and, maybe it's that whole part of being stuck in 3D, but, we're kind of trained not to see these things or not to pay attention when they happen. And, one of the things that happens when you do wake up is you get so used to, noticing all of these things because it's such a part of your experience.
Right.
I had a funny story, like so many crazy things happen to me here. This is, it's more of the norm than not. I remember one night looking out my sliding glass window and thinking, there's this crazy mist outside, like something big's gonna happen, I gotta go check it out. And, I went out to go see what was causing the mist, and my screen door was closed and I ran into it. There wasn't a mist at all. Right. But it's like it happens, all these crazy things happen so often here that my first instinct is that it's, another gift happening rather than something silly like the screen door being closed. So
that's funny. That wasn't one of the times you were missing time, because I wanted to go into how you talked about.
Yeah, no, that just happened a couple of weekends ago. I kind of have a tribe online that, we're all kind of coming together. And so I've met some people, and, I found a soul sister, and she and her husband had never been to this area before, and we'd actually, never met in person before, but they came for the weekend, and one of the things that they wanted to do was go hike the vortex. And so we went up there, and it was funny because we noticed shortly after, you'd have to look at like how the mountain is. There's a small pinnacle, and then there's this kind of like looks like a horseshoe saddle if you were to look at the mountain. Mm-hmm. And that's actually where they say they think the epicenter of the vortex is. And then you from there get up to the big pinnacle, and what you do is you hike around this big bald head mountain. Mm-hmm. And so for whatever reason, we noticed right after we started on the trail going around the circle of the big bald head mountain that over 2 hours had elapsed where we missed a couple hours of time, and it's a very short distance. It's maybe 3 city blocks from the small pinnacle to the big pinnacle. It's not a big area, but somehow we had lost a couple of hours at least. We're still trying to figure out exactly how long we lost, but none of us know what happens. We didn't remember what happened during those 2 hours, but yeah, time there's different.
So do you feel like you just jumped through time, or do you feel like you lost time? Like, you follow what I'm saying? Do you feel like?
Yeah, I'm not sure how it happened. There's a bunch of stories about the Native Americans and there being a portal up there and, things happening, but none of us really recall what happened during that time. For all of us, we just kind of remembered walking from point A to point B, and then, shortly after, somebody got a phone call or something happened. They were like, holy, you know what time it is? Or like, we all said what we thought. It was, 2.5 hours later, and we couldn't figure out how that had just happened. So I don't know, if time, we don't know. We're still trying to figure that one out.
Well, that leads me to my next question. Have you seen any alien craft or anything in the air?
Not, I'm surprised. I would have thought, being where I am in the middle of nowhere with all these stars and bright sky, that I would have seen something here. I have seen them in the past, but I have not seen them here yet. There are stories where other people, have seen them in the area, but so far, I'm still waiting.
Now you're out in nature. Have you mentioned before about noticing a difference in the way animals respond?
Yeah, I've had some other crazy experiences out here too. This year has slowed down a little bit as far as odd experiences from last year, but this year's seems to be that endangered or extinct animals in this area are coming to visit me. I had a puma, a mountain lion, that was in my backwoods a couple of months ago.
Oh, wow.
And I saw it. It was crazy, like the way I'm on this big boulder, and the way the sun shines down through the forest, it was kind of backlit. Yeah. And so I could kind of see it like walking, sneaking, kind of crouching like it was hunting something. And for a second I was like, what am I seeing here? What is this? It was huge, and just, it took a second to like, am I really seeing this? Am I really seeing this?
It's like on the prowl.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next thing I know, I live on, people in this area kind of call it the Deer Highway. There's a lake in the woods just behind my house here, and so a lot of animals kind of flock to this area, but I'm often visited by deer and all kinds of things, and they're, always in my yard. And so I see this puma, and, just as soon as I'm like, am I really seeing this? All of a sudden, I see this herd of deer. I mean, they fly. I've never seen them. They were moving so fast, they could have, had wings. It was just, they knew what was there, and they were getting the heck out of Dodge. And I've never seen them act like that before, and I've never seen them act like that since.
Oh, running for their life.
Yeah, they were. And so then I called, like, the North Carolina. I've got a neighbor. It's, like I said, it's very rural out here, and we'll have bobcats and things, and I hear about them. They like to shoot things, and I'm, really not into that. So I thought I'd call, like, the North Carolina wildlife, whatever it was, and, ask them what I need to do in this position. Can I scare it away, or what can I do? And they pretty much just laughed at me, like, there's nothing like that in the area. There hasn't been for 80 years. And I'm like, well, there was one here today. I saw it. And then I can't remember if it was before that or after that. I had another one. It was just kind of a cute little thing, but it was called an eastern fox squirrel. And so I see this like squirrel trotting down my driveway, but it looks like a cat. It's got these really long legs, and I knew there was something funny with it. And then the other thing was, I thought it had something white in its mouth, like it was, holding on to something. So I was trying to look at it to see, what was happening. And then I noticed it had this big white nose. It wasn't, it wasn't holding on to anything at all. And so I went and looked that up, and it was another extinct animal in this area. So, yeah, like just weird energy. Everything is coming here.
That is so wild.
I know.
Just to think of, because with the Mandela effect or whatever, they've got these huge, like, what do they call those things? They're like, they're bats, but they've got like a 6-foot wingspan or something.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
Never heard of those. And then they're like huge, and I was like, man, are these like extinct animals coming back? Or, they've got that new CRISPR technology, which can like mess with DNA. So a lot of this, I'm like, dude, this could be a Mandela effect, but I can't rule out the possibility that some scientists are playing with this CRISPR thing and seeing what they can, because it's supposed to work really quick and everything. So I was like, I don't know. It's just hard to, it's hard to imagine.
Hard to tell what's what. Yeah. I'm going to have to look that up. I haven't, CRISPR?
Yeah, it's called CRISPR, and it's where they can just go in and edit genes, edit DNA, and it works really efficiently. And, yeah.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, if you put in like CRISPR, DNA manipulation or something, it'll bring up. It's real interesting the way it works. But yeah, it's just because, if people are toying with it in the lab and they know about this, that somebody's messing with it. You know what I mean? So it's like, you never know how many people are like trying, because they can do things like turn on the glow gene or something, and then make, animals' eyes glow and just weird things that.
I noticed that a few years ago. They did it with like some cats or something, didn't they?
Right, yeah, they've been toying with it. So that if that's in the public, that what's going on behind the scenes? Are they creating some, genetic monsters? And
right.
And there's even, there's theories that the whole Noah's Ark and the world getting destroyed way back then was because they had toyed with genetics so much that there was all these crazy things running around. They just had to kind of wipe the planet and start over. That's just, that's just one perspective. I don't know. I'm always on the fence about that stuff, but I always find it interesting.
Hey, we don't know. We may never know why it happened, but there have been 6 mass extinctions in the history, and none of us really know what happened, why it happened, or how it happened. So it very well could have been that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, before you go, I want you to tell the story about, because you mentioned it about downloads of the new energy and like a plasma energy being. That visited you. I wanted to hear about that. That sounds wild.
That was a crazy new experience. So one of the things that's happened since I've been here is I have what I mentioned earlier, my helpers. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of, even though I always had precognitive dreams, I've never really been able to, communicate with anything otherworldly or anything like that. And that was kind of a new knowing that had happened to me. So I basically now can communicate with my helpers. I kind of, for whatever reason, I lay southeast and I clear my mind. I usually do it at night before bed. And these images will come to me. I ask questions and, whatever, and then I'll get these images. And so, oftentimes, quite all the time, actually, the images will have something to do with something that then will happen soon or that I've never heard of before or been able to understand. But then I go online the next morning and figure out, that it's something that, really is real that I just, never knew before. So they've been kind of quiet lately, and I don't know if it has anything to do, again, with, the Schumann resonance being kind of, not doing anything or what's going on. But within the last week, I started asking, where have you been? Talk to me. What's going on? And I started to see this, like, multicolored energy, kind of like, have you seen that show, the DMT show that's on Netflix?
The Spirit Molecule?
Yeah.
Okay, I saw it like years ago, but but yeah, I definitely saw it.
Do you know the graphics that they play when they're kind of trying to explain what happens to people when they're doing the ayahuasca or whatever? Okay, so all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, very similar images. It's the only thing that I could compare it to is what started going through my mind, and I have no idea what that meant, but that's where they said they've been. And then a few nights ago, I started to see, it was at a distance. It was like a almost circle of, I would say, like golden light mixed with a darker light, and they were kind of fractal, geometrical patterns around the edge, and it wasn't quite a complete circle, and it was kind of far away, and I was trying to see in my mind's eye what it was and focus in on it, and I noticed that it started getting closer. It started, coming toward me in my mind's eye, and I opened up my eyes and noticed that it was still there. Whether my eyes were closed or open, I could see this energy, the lights kind of moving and changing, and the different shapes that were with it. And it came closer and closer, and it finally got right in front of my face. And I could tell, I opened up my eyes, and I could actually see on my cheek the reflection of the light that was there.
Oh,
and
wow.
then it kind of just passed through me, and I don't know if it stayed or if it went on its way. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Did you feel anything when it was passing through you?
I didn't feel a thing. That was the weirdest part. I'm like, what just happened? And I know this thing just, I saw it come so close that it, had to have come into me, but I didn't feel anything. So, of course, then I, stated my intentions that the only thing that is allowed to be in me, near me, whatever, is beings of love and light with pure intentions. And if it's anything else, I'm sending you love and light, and you need to be on your way.
Right.
So, I'm trying to protect myself as much as I possibly can. I did see it one other morning. I woke up, and it was, like, right there. The center was like a hazy, you could almost tell that it was like a plasma something in the center of this thing when it got close. Almost like a jellyfish on the inside or something, but not quite as solid.
Right.
I don't know how else to explain it, but yeah,
were
the
you
energy
fearful or?
No, not really. It was weird.
Right,
but it
definitely.
wasn't anything. I knew that as long as I stated my intentions and I knew what I was going to allow in, that, I'm doing everything that I can. And so I kind of had to have faith in that. I live in the middle of nowhere by myself. I've got to be able to, psych myself up. Like, I'm in control here. I'm the only one that can make, no one can make me feel afraid. I'm in control. I've got to handle these things. And so I do that quite often. And have found so far that nothing's hurt me, nothing's had bad intentions, and it's all just been the most beautiful experience. And I think it's important for people to know that these things are going to be happening probably to everyone, and, to not be afraid when they happen. And, they're beautiful gifts. And also the other thing is, sometimes they slow down. And it's important for people to know, the universe still loves you, even if the gifts are coming as quickly as they once were. They haven't given up on you. It's just you've learned what they want you to learn to this point that you're ready for. And I think that that's another really, really important thing for people to know, because you feel lonely, you feel abandoned, you feel like, what happened to all these gifts? Did I do something where I'm not worthy anymore?
Right.
Why did it all happen? And, why is it slowed down or stopped? Just have faith that everything is happening to you the way that it's supposed to be happening to you. And when you're ready, it'll pick back up. And, just keep an open mind and enjoy your life and send light and love to everyone and everything that you can. And you'll be doing, the best that you can be doing. You're on the right track.
And for those who haven't had any experiences like that, just know that they're coming. And the other thing is, you're just saying that, and I can imagine that it would almost be worse if you were getting them and then they stopped, than if you've never experienced them, because you'd feel like you had it at one point. Did I lose something? What's going on?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That kind of happened in January. I had the loudest frequency download, loudest and longest I have ever had. It just went on, and I was like, all right, something's up here. And then I noticed for the next couple of months that they're just like, really not much was happening. And so that's when I really started, I tried to research, and they're all talking about the gifts and the things that are happening to them, but nobody's talking about, well, what happens when they stop? What's that mean?
Right.
And so it is important to have faith in yourself and to know that we're all being chosen. We're all special. And if something slows down, it's for a reason. We've got to trust Source. We've got to trust this great power that's coming to us and giving us all these wonderful gifts. And that, when you're ready, they're going to be right back with more. And, in fact, I hadn't had any rainbows this year. And, I just had one the other day, and it was one of the most beautiful ones I've ever seen. So they're back, and they're bringing me more gifts.
Yeah, I just got, I don't know, like 3 different instances the last few days of ringing in the ear. And I kind of wonder sometimes if we're getting a download and then, it seems like it stops, but maybe you're sort of unpacking all that information and it's like you're incorporating it and you don't need another download because you're still working on the last one or something. You never know what's going on behind the scenes. So.
Well, and there's different ones. Like the knowing that has come to me is the left ear downloads are more of the physical changes and things that are happening, more to your body to evolve. And the right ear downloads are more of the information that we're receiving. And so kind of pay attention to some of those, and where you're getting them and then what's going on in your life or if you're having any new experiences or epiphanies, because I was told that's what they mean.
Oh,
so now that you're getting them, it's something to kind of pay attention to, how you're getting them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's wonderful. I noticed Julie, I don't know if she left, but if you can respond to that email, that will bring it to the top of my email list, because I emailed you, but you never hit me back. So I get a lot of emails, and if you don't respond, it gets buried. But I wanted to have you on, but I didn't ever hear back from you. So just so you know, she had some images that were really cool that she was going to share. But, well, that was wonderful. And was there anything else you wanted to share?
I think that's it for today. I appreciate everything. If you're going to talk again,
what?
I have had a pretty crazy event dream, so maybe that's something we can talk about another time.
Oh, we can talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't want to take over your whole show.
No, that's fine. We have time.
So, it's fairly quick, but I obviously timelines are kind of the no. You don't want to say when you think it is or anything like that. But the feeling that I got was either spring or fall, because I remember in the dream feeling the weather, feeling what it was like while I was outside. I was outside when I saw everything happen. And I was in like jeans and a T-shirt or something and just felt, nice and cool and perfect. And looked out over what they call here is the holler. There's like this big pasture area with trees where there's some dairy cows and things. And I was looking out in the distance and noticed the clouds were all kinds of colorful. It almost looked like, I know it sounds stupid, but like Neapolitan ice cream or something. They were thick and fluffy and kind of pastel-y, but brightly different colors. Right. And people were stopping on the road as they were seeing it as well and kind of coming into this area here to get a better look at what was happening. And, there were people that were kind of afraid. And then in the center of the clouds, something started that was almost kind of like kaleidoscopy. There was a circle, and it definitely, it was doing something that we knew, like, okay, this isn't just like a weird sunset or, this is something different. And it was at that point I started trying to tell everyone, don't be afraid. This is the event. This is what we're waiting for. Everything's going to be okay. Just, have faith. It's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And I remember standing there, and everything started coming closer and closer and closer. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, you've got to take a great big breath. Breathe as deeply as you can and just trust. And I remember saying, okay, Spirit, okay, Source, I trust you. I'm ready for this. This is going to be amazing. And the next thing I know, I'm kind of being picked up and laid down gently on my back. Like the force came in so quickly, I wasn't hurt or anything, but I was definitely knocked down.
Right.
And I felt the most pure, wonderful love that was so very similar to my Kundalini awakening, that energy and those things, that love and that total overwhelming, just like I said, like the best drug you could ever imagine. It was that same feeling that completely came over me, and then I woke up.
Was some of the feeling lingering when you woke up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And I almost forgot. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I totally forgot about, you were talking about when you got breast cancer, you had come across this oil stuff that most people don't know about. And I wanted you to share that information. I forgot.
Yeah. So mine was given to me. It wasn't hereditary, as we were kind of talking before. And so once you go through something like that, the first thing is like, well, how do I make sure I don't get it again? Mm-hmm. And I obsessively research everything. So I came across this obscure little piece of information about black cumin seed oil, and Herodotus called it the remedy for everything but death. The ancient Egyptians used it. I mean, basically everybody throughout the entire history of time has used this stuff, but of course no one knows about it. And I think we probably all know why that is, because it works.
Right.
And, yeah. So it was fairly expensive, and the way that it was currently being sold was in a plastic bottle, and the stuff so strong is basically going to eat all of the parabens and nasty stuff in the bottle and, absorb it into the oil, and then you're not doing quite as much good for yourself, as you could. And so I thought, this is expensive. I bet I can find a way to do this on my own. So I, reached out, contacted companies, told them everything about what I wanted to do. Found a company that was, able to give me a really good price on seed, and I found a press and started making it for myself. And I started, talking to people and letting them know, that it had really been helping me. In fact, after 2 weeks of taking this stuff, I felt like a kid again. I had so much energy, and it was just the most amazing. Like, I knew that it was working, and then I found a couple of videos of what it does to your blood, and you can see how it works, and gets rid of the free radicals, and it like helps and cures like over 100 different things, anything from cancer to heart disease, high blood pressure. I mean, you name it.
It's taken orally then, like with like a teaspoon of it or something?
Yeah, you can do it orally. You can do it. I use it for everything. I use it on my skin. I use it on my hair. I take it orally for the health, and it's just the most amazing stuff. And the myquinone in it is the main active ingredient, and that's what really just gets into your system and helps in so many ways. So I started this company, Dragonfly, and I really don't make much off of it. I really pretty much just pay for the seed and the shipping to get it out to people who are sick and having issues. But once you get over it, it's got kind of a stout taste to it. You have to get kind of used to it. And drinking oil is never fun, but once you get used to it, the benefits are just so amazing. And obviously I'm not a doctor, and I can't claim, what it's going to do for everybody else, but what I can say is what it did for me taking it, and, what other clients have reached out to me and, given me like their, cholesterol reports before and after, and, it seems to be helping people. They seem to be really enjoying it. So, yeah, you can't always just trust the doctors. There are always other things out there, you can do to really help yourself.
Yeah, and if you can find something that'll keep you off the pharmaceuticals, then that's always a plus.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And, one of the other things was I use CBD through my treatments. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I had just gotten a pathology report back from my doctor, and was holding it in my hand when I went in to go see the radiologist. And he was sitting there explaining to me, why you do radiation after you have chemotherapy. And it's because chemotherapy never, ever gets rid of the cancer. And so they kind of chase back behind it with the radiation to make sure that, any little stragglers or anything like that, can hopefully be taken care of. And while he was telling me that, I was looking at my pathology report, and the tumor that they took out was completely necrotic. So something did it.
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot of things out there that obviously they don't. I can't tell people what to do or what choices to make for themselves, but I am certainly a believer that God gave us everything that we need right here to heal ourselves, and a lot of it also has to do with your mental standpoint, where you're at mentally.
Yeah.
When I was going through everything, I had the total dream of being with my twin flame. I started getting treatment where I lived, and it was horrible, and so together we decided that I would go back home with my family and go to another hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, of course, before I'm just completely against allopathic medicine now. But we agreed upon that together. So the whole time that I was gone, that 8 or 9 months, I was actively visualizing every day what it would be like to be back together with him and share, and how great life was going to be and how excited I was, and instead of focusing on how awful the treatments were or how upset I was that my whole life had gone on standstill, or what it was like to be completely bald, or any of those things, I focused on this beautiful, wonderful, amazing love. And I think that, along with the CBD and then following up with the black seed, is just we can cure ourselves.
Definitely worth a try.
We really can. Yeah.
So when you get back into, they're asking for a link. So if you can drop that link in after we get off here in the chat,
I don't do much. I've got a website. I don't do much with it, but I do have a Facebook page. So I'll just drop that, and that's got all the info you could ever imagine about if you've got a health issue and you want to see it would work. I've got posts from forever and ever and ever about all different kinds of things that people use it for.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Well,
So I'll need to make you a moderator. So if you can say something once you're back in the chat, then I can make you a moderator, and then you'll be able to paste in your Facebook link or whatever links you have that you want to share.
Okay, cool.
And is that the best way for people to order to or get a hold of you, is through Facebook as well?
Yeah, it's all through Facebook. There's a shop now link there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. I mean, the other thing too is, other companies do make it now in, glass bottles and things, but mine's made from 100% organic seed. It is the pure oil. A lot of other companies will dilute it with, cheaper carrier oils like coconut oil and things like that. And mine's not filtered, and I think I'm the only company that does that, and that's, to get the most of my quinone into your system as possible.
Right.
And I do it cold pressed, so everything's live, living, and I try to bottle it fresh per each order so that, it hasn't been sitting on a shelf forever, getting funky. So
yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of times companies get so big that, they're just trying to produce more and more. And because of that, the quality goes down. So
Right. And they get greedy. And that's not what I'm about. I just want to help people, and help people feel better and spread the word and let them know that, you really can do some things to help heal yourself. And a lot of it comes down to diet. A lot of it comes down to detoxification. And a lot of it's just, having a great outlook on life.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that really does affect. Just that whole optimistic outlook does help so much. Puts you in a different vibration.
We create our own reality, Shane, And if you believe it and you see it and, you act on it, then that's what happens.
Definitely. That whole law of attraction thing, it really does work.
You're right. It does. Well, it's been awesome speaking to you. I feel like I took up your whole program today.
Oh, no problem. Lots of great information people need to hear, and we've always got more time. So thank you so much for coming on, Pyrrha.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care, Shane. Bye-bye.
Right,
bye, everybody.
Lots of love and light to Pyrrha in North Carolina. That's awesome. Let me, I've got a lot of windows open here. Okay. So, yeah, as soon as she types something into there, it might take her a minute to get into the broadcast. I will make sure to make her a mod and she can paste that into there. Let's see here. This is Shane. Welcome to the broadcast. Who am I talking to? Hello? Anyone there? Check 1, 2. Can you hear? Are you there? Hello? I guess they are not here. Let's go back to the phone lines. This is Shane. Welcome to the broadcast. Who am I talking to? Hello? Yeah, who am I talking to? Can you hear me? Hello? I don't know why no one can hear me. How strange is this? Let me go into my settings and see. Because Pyrrha couldn't hear me at first, and I switched the settings for her, but maybe I didn't switch it for everybody. Let's try this again. Let's see. This is Shane. Welcome to the broadcast. Who am I talking to? Hey, Joel. Where are you calling from?
Ma'am?
Joel from Idaho. Welcome to the
Yeah, or as
broadcast.
Jose would say, Joel, and it sounds much more beautiful that way.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, she's in the chat right now. Let me get, I want to type your name in here. So what has been your experience lately, Joel?
Well, you know, it's been quite a journey, Shane. It's over the past couple of years.
Did
I've
you say
experienced,
Idaho?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
just making sure. Okay.
Yeah, I've experienced a lot with the Mandela effect, and it was very weird because I didn't really experience it until I left a career path I was on that was very soul crushing.
Oh, really?
But it led to a very broad array of synchronistic events that have led me to where I am right now and following my life's path.
Right. I think that's. Have you read the Celestine Prophecies?
You know, I have not yet, but my wife has, and she keeps urging me to do it.
Oh, dude, you've got to take the. And there's actually this 9-hour video that I was able to listen to it at 2 times the speed and get through it in like 4.5 hours. And like once I started, I started falling asleep because I started at like 1 a.m. or something. But the second I woke up the next day, man, I was right back on it. It was so riveting and.
Oh man,
it's not boring at all, and it's like it sounds like your life, you know, just someone else going through the same sorts of things with synchronistic events and following signs, and it's really cool. You won't be upset. It won't let you down. Trust me.
Oh, absolutely not. I doubt that it would let me down at all, from what I've heard.
Yeah, and it's amazing that it came out so long ago. It's like, man, people were going through this way back then.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, my wife read it. A while back now. She was a lot younger, over 12 years ago now, and she really wasn't getting it, but it was a book she'd read, and she just was fascinated by it for some reason. Mm-hmm. We both had our own sort of awakening experiences over these past couple of years, and it was really weird because a lot of that experience we didn't notice until, oh man, it would have been Christmas around 2016 or so.
Oh.
And it was just insane, and that's how we actually found you, because we're like, wow, this is a real thing. Other people are experiencing this. This isn't false memories. This is a real thing.
Oh,
and it was
yeah.
completely,
I still get the comments, man. It's like, I did that last Mandela effect, and I just laugh now. It's like they took my words and twisted it a little bit. People that can't get over the fact that their memory is bad, and I'm like, what? Are you serious? It's not a memory thing. Come on.
Exactly.
For me, it was like I don't trust my memory at all. So it's like for me to see it, it's really happening, man. It's like for me, it was things that I knew, like. It's like saying that, I wake up and my eye color is different, and people are like, you just got a bad memory. No, you don't. Your eye color isn't a memory. It's, what your eye color is.
Yeah, this is stuff I know. It was this way yesterday.
Right.
It was this way today. Who am I?
Yeah, exactly.
Question.
It's like, man, I had that statue with the fist to the forehead, and then it's under the chin. It's like, dude, how can you misremember that? It's, you know what I mean? I stared at it every day growing up.
Yeah, exactly. Here's your sign, but, I don't want to hold it because that's not my sign,
Right. So, it's definitely happened.
Absolutely.
What was the big thing for you and your wife?
The biggest thing?
Yeah, with the changes with the Mandela effect?
Well, that's kind of a long story, and I might have to call in another time for that, but
okay.
I'd left this job because I was, my wife had urged me to, and I knew I should. But it was something like a higher power, maybe a higher self, something just said, Joel, get out of this place. This isn't what you're supposed to be doing. And so I left, and a couple months later, I started noticing changes that I was like, now, wait a minute. This wasn't that way, and I know that. But so it was really crazy because the job I was doing, I had been trained to be very attentive, and so in my mind, it's kind of directed that way anyway.
Right.
But I was like, this isn't false memory. This isn't, misremembering anything. This is a real thing. And the biggest one for me, which was really weird, was the Bragg's apple cider vinegar.
Oh yeah.
Right. And, I noticed that change overnight. It kind of freaked me out.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, well,
that is freaky when you see it change quickly.
Yeah. It's kind of like watching yourself go crazy, but they say, if you are crazy, you don't notice it. But I felt like that's what was happening. I was like, okay, something else must be going on.
Right.
It's not a mental issue. It's just, and so for a while I got on board with the whole, maybe CERN could be doing this. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But then I wasn't so sure about that either. I mean, I really feel like there's more than just one explanation.
Yeah, and I thought that too. That we could be looking at several things going on.
Absolutely. But it's that whole that whole spiel of things led me down this path to do what I really love to do, which is to illustrate, and through synchronistic events and close soul kinships, it led me to the point I am now, which is illustrating. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah,
very hard
to illustrate.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's just creative expression in its most raw form.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's almost meditative, I think, because I never meditated a lot, but I got into music and art, and when you're sitting there on a piece of art, man, it's like you leave this world and you're in that work of art you're working on. It's amazing.
Yes, and that is so true. That is so true. It's one of those things where, I mean, I do believe it's a form of meditation because it almost feels like you're in that zone. It's like you're not there. You are in a meditative state, and you're able to release that creative energy into the world.
Yeah.
Or just, hang it on your wall. It's, it's so great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to cut the show short and go do some art, man. This is... Right. I'm just, but yeah, it is. It's like, I think you're tapping into that creator inside, that right brain divinity that we all have. And I've noticed a lot of people that see the Mandela effect are involved with some sort of art, whether it's, pictures or writing or music or something, but they engage that right part of their brain. And it really forced me back to the right part of my brain to try to figure out what all this was, man, because when you see how it affects people on an individual basis and it's like an individual experience, it really does wake you up to the
you're
fact
right.
that this isn't like a blanket change for everyone,
No. Yeah, it is very a very crazy thing to see, you know. I mean, especially, you know, because a lot of people will either just shut it down immediately, and some will be affected in such a way it's kind of scary, but when they reflect on it later, they go, well, maybe, you know, there is something to this.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, doing any form of art, I think you're right. I do agree with you. It kind of opens up those floodgates and makes you more perceptive in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I agree with you 100% on that. That's awesome. That is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely, man.
But yeah, I just wanted to call in, wanted to tell you, hey man, me and my wife, we love you. We love Jose. We love all you guys, all great light workers. And
it's a great, it's like a divine gathering.
A
yeah, it's like a divine gathering of loving people, and I can see why people see it as a negative thing, but I think if they just consider that it could be good, that's all it took for me, man. I was like, because at first I wasn't like freaked out like a lot of people, but it tripped me out, but I wasn't fearful about it. I was just like, what the heck?
Like, what is going on here?
Yeah. And I thought CERN and D-Wave and all that stuff at first too, but once I consider, I'm like, could this be some kind of good thing to wake people up or something? And then it's like I started getting all these little revelations and then messages with the changes, and it's been a fun journey for me. That's why I encourage anyone. It's like, stop thinking the devil's doing it, man. It's like got you all fearful, and you know,
it can't be. If the devil's doing it and we're as light workers are aware of it, that's kind of paradoxical. You know, I grew up as a son of a preacher, man, so it's kind of interesting seeing all this stuff happen. And my father's point of view, you know, is a lot different than mine. But even in that, like, you know, I've been able to make him kind of see, like, my viewpoint on it, not to accept it, but to see it and understand it. You know, and he's pretty old school, you know, very Bible Belt preacher kind of guy. Right. Love him to death, but yeah, so it's very, very maybe consuming a little bit for him.
But he does see the changes, right?
You know, that's the hardest thing. He won't talk about it. He's very, very old school, very reserved.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe he saw it, but was, you know, chalking it up for one.
Well,
or something.
That's the thing. He doesn't really talk about it, but you know, I think he might see him, but maybe it's just a little too much. You know.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that.
Yeah, I talked to my sister and her husband, they're both ordained ministers, about a year and a half ago when I first started seeing it, and they looked in the Bible. They said, "Yeah, we see it. We're going to get back to you," and I'm still waiting.
I know, right? Well, it can be very confusing because there's really no right answer that we can definitively give to what's happening. You know, so it's very but there are positive things to pull from it. Absolutely, 100%. I agree with that.
Sure. Yeah, and just us coming together like this, if that was even the sole purpose of it, that was good enough for me.
Absolutely, and you know, that's why I got into the art thing with doing these books and stuff, because it was like, you know, in a weird way, it was almost like, well, the Bernstein Bears can change, so what if you did a book and if it changed, then you would know it. You know? It was very weird. Very weird.
Yeah, that was weird for me. I don't know how long you've been watching, man, but I had done this piece of art back in 2011 for this contest, and it took me like a year to do it, but I took a map from the internet, and then I took the word love in like 4 dozen languages, and I made a vector out of it, and I started like moving the letters and making them match the land masses across the whole world map. Well, when I heard the map change, I'm like, well, let me go open up that file. I swear to God, dude, this was the trippiest thing. I opened up my Illustrator file, turned on the hidden layer because it was just the guide layer where I put the map in there. I turned on that hidden layer, and my words no longer matched up with the map. It took me like a year of lining it all up, and I did a video about a year ago.
No.
Yeah, but
man, that's rough.
Yeah, and there was all these extra islands, and I was sitting there thinking, "Oh my God, I'm so glad these islands were good." Yeah.
Who put this period here? No, wait, that's an island. No, that's
definitely, man. So it tripped me out, and you know the weird thing about it, a lot of the big changes people see, like South America moving to the right, it wasn't like that in my art. It was like there was more coastline on the left side or the west side of South America, but you know, maybe all of my letters moved, but the little details didn't. I don't really know. I wasn't really a geography buff or anything like that to tell you, hey, this was for sure this way. I just know that it used to match. you know, and now it
Yeah.
doesn't. So trippy, man, trippy.
Yeah, it is very crazy. But yeah,
Definitely,
like,
man.
so, absolutely. No, we've been watching you for about a year and a half now, and, you know, we really found out about you after we were doing a lot of searching. We found you, like, well, it seems to be going through a lot of the same stuff we're going through. At least we don't feel so alone in this, you know, and the community here is just incredible. Like,
Oh, that's been
fantastic.
awesome. Yeah, it's like our
You
soul
know.
family reuniting and stuff.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it's been nice to have
Absolutely.
you and your wife on this journey with all of us, man. It's
Oh,
it's
100%.
it's all of us together. You know, I might be the talking head on here, but it's really all of us together. I'd be nothing without you guys. So I appreciate you being a viewer. and
Absolutely. All
participating.
right.
Lots of love and
James,
light to you and your wife, buddy.
Yep, much love, man.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Joel from Idaho. That's so cool, man. So we'll see if this works out. Let me pull that down and put that up. Yeah, this is pretty trippy. By design, Susan. Welcome. So this has been quite a ride. We'll probably only go for 2 hours, but we got about 50 minutes left, 49 minutes left. If anybody would like to join in and share your experience. What's been your experience? Whether it's the Mandela effect, whether it's the waves of energy, have you been getting more dreams? Reality changing right before our very eyes. It's quite a ride. Exciting times. You know, before all of this happened, life had just become so boring and stuff. So, you know, it was pretty trippy at first, but I gotta say that it's like I woke up in a sci-fi movie or something. Sci-fi movie. Or sci-fi show. Yeah, one of the first things that came to mind, you know, we talked about CERN, was, let's see here. Welcome to the broadcast. This is Shane. Who am I talking to?
Yeah, this is Angie.
Hey, Angie, how are you?
I am good. I'm good. I've enjoyed listening to your show.
Thank you. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Houston, Texas area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So what's the weather
Yeah,
been like down there today?
Oh, gosh, it's just hot.
It has been quite a scorcher, hasn't it? It was 105 here today.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in Oklahoma, so I get the weather. The weather's pretty much the same in the summer, but it's just humid, hot and humid here, so.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, have you noticed the Sahara sand in the sky down there?
Well, the sun looks really bright. It looks yellow today, kind of like you were saying. It's like the old-fashioned sun that we were used to seeing. So it does look a little hazy and yellow today. So
yeah. And it seems like it's making the sun reflect back down more because it seems like it's holding the heat in or something.
It's just strange in general. The sky looks different. You know, for myself, my gifts, I have a healing business for Twin Flames, and my gifts are through the roof to the point where I like can't hardly think.
Right.
So it's just, I'm glad my clients are happy, but you know, just to be like, wow, what is this? Here's a new thing I can do, or here's a new thing going on in the world around me. I was glad that I found you as far as the Mandela effect, because I thought, I know how to spell Berenstain Bears. You know,
right?
So
that one doesn't affect me, but that's one of those things that I can totally get on board with, even though it's not one for me, because I'm like, dude, people would remember if that was Stain or Steen, because if you're a kid and you're learning how to say it and stuff, it's like nobody's going to confuse that, you know.
Yeah, there's no way. I'm similar to your guy. What's his channel? Wolf something?
Oh yeah, Dark Wolf.
Yeah, I love him when you and him did the talk together, because he lived in Germany and I lived in Germany too. So I caught up on that German spelling of the name, And then I came back from the military and I became a teacher. So I used that book for years with kids. I know how it's spelled. So it's like there's no way that it was spelled with an A. And then there's the other one, the thinker one. I had a similar one like you. We had that in our house as a kid. My mom made it as a ceramic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know where his hand was. It was on his forehead, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So, but there's several. I was glad that you got me going on the Mandela effect, because I went in for a QHHT hypnotism session. I'm a hypnotist too, but I went in to have someone facilitate it for me, and I'm going to go in again on Tuesday. But I went in a couple months ago, and my extra question I ask is, why do we have the Mandela effect?
Oh, let's hear the answer to that one.
Yeah, you're going to hear my answer from my high self, because I have an Arcturian side of my high self that was coming and speaking, and I was told it was like something coming from source, something coming from God, coming from source to help awaken us. That's what I was told.
Oh, it just gave me chills, because that's the knowing that I keep getting. I didn't get it verbally said to me like that, but it's like when I realized it happened to so many things that were a part of my life, like the thinker and different things as a kid. And then I had this memory of getting my favorite book being Milton the Early Riser, and it was about this panda that was trying to wake up all the other animals, and he had woken up a little early, and then I realized that was like my life. I'm like trying to wake people up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and it's giving me chills now just thinking about it. It was like I realized how they knew this was going to, whoever's doing this, source or whatever, knew my whole life this was going to happen and set so many things up for this very reason,
Yeah, yeah. So I was kind of confused when I got that answer, because I thought I was hearing CERN is it, and all this, like, what's going on? But my high self was clearly speaking, in third person, the way your high self speaks through you during hypnotism. She's like, no, everything was your high self. He just clearly said, this is God helping to wake some people up. And then my high self said, you don't need it. You already know. You're already awake. You're already awake, But,
yeah, totally. Yeah, and I've had seen other people that are awake, and they don't like to look at it because it kind of freaks them out or whatever. I'm like, well, you don't really need it. You're already awake, so don't pay attention to it if it's freaking you out. You know what I mean? I mean, if it's there to wake us up, like an alarm clock, it's just the people who's asleep that really need it. And I needed it, because I totally needed it, because everything had just become so boring and left brain, and it totally pushed me back into more of a supernatural, spiritual life. And I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, so that's really good. Yeah, my twin flame, I'm in relationship with my twin flame, and he's like, doesn't even want to hear about it. So I'm like, look at this, He's like, whatever. He's like, I'm happy sitting on the porch, being happy, looking at the sunset,
So does he see it, or does he not see it, or does he see it and not want to look at it, or does he not even acknowledge it?
I think he definitely sees it and doesn't want to look at it, because we have Joel Osteen here. Well, I would call him Olstein with an L.
Yeah.
And there was a big thing during the hurricane of him not letting people in the church, but he said, we flooded before. We're trying to wait to see what happens, make sure we don't flood. That was a big thing in the news. Well, right after that, like, my twin and I have been to his church. We know who he is. He's big in this area. I said, his spelling of his name changed. But that's not how I approached my twin. I said, how do you spell his name? And he said, it's Olst. He's like, I don't know if there's two E's or one. I said, no, where you messed up is when you put an L in it. There's no L in the name. Now, there used to be an L. So
that's like my wife. Her eyes got big as baseballs when I showed her the JFK footage. I mean, I could see it freaked her out and stuff. And so she sees the stuff, but she's like, I got to carry on. She's fine now. It's been a year, so now she can talk about it, and she talks to other people about it, but it just didn't take over her life like it did me. So, but yeah, she says one of us have to remain sane and, act normal and stuff. So
let's pretend to be normal.
Right, really. There was a few times I
Yeah.
thought after I talked to people and, you don't get the response from people that, because, I'm running around talking to everybody. Hey, do you remember this? Do you remember this? And then like the responses I was getting after about a day or two of doing that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to play along with this whole thing. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to get locked up.
I just leave them alone. I mean, I'm lucky when clients come to me, I'm like, okay, are you open to past lives? And they're usually like, sure. But I try to feel it out. Most of my clients are great, but if anybody in the world here around me in town that I just randomly meet, I just keep my mouth shut about a lot of stuff. So,
I guess that's what you sort of have to do.
Yeah.
So are things getting back to normal there in Houston after the storm rolled in last year?
Yeah, it was a crazy storm. There was at least one big highway that I think just kind of crashed down, had to repair like Beltway 8, which is really huge. But it was pretty crazy. And since I moved here about 12 years ago, and it snowed that year, and people were saying, gosh, it hasn't snowed here for years. I'm thinking, it's been crazy weather since I moved here, So snow and then storms. So,
That's
but
wild.
I just want to see, well, what's next? What's going to happen in the world next,
Now, you've heard of the Rainbow Mountains that are around there.
Yeah.
Are those new to you, or do you remember them your whole life?
No, those are new to me.
Okay, just checking. I like to ask people because I'm like, maybe I just didn't hear about it, but, they're pretty awesome. I think I would have heard about them at some point. I certainly would have paid attention to them if they were brought up. I'm like, wow, look at those things, but I think it's all part of this new earth coming.
Yeah, they're beautiful, aren't they? I mean, how odd. I had never seen a double rainbow where I could see two rainbows together and see the beginning and end and two rainbows together. So I posted it online, and several people were like, oh, yeah, I've seen several of those. And then my twin said, oh, yeah, I've seen several. And his son said, yeah, I've seen several. That my daughter was with me, and she's 21, so I ran in to get something, and I came out. She just stayed in the car. And I said, Rachel, there's this big double rainbow, end to end, two rainbows. And she got out of the car. Usually she'd be lazy, like, whatever, Mom, you're crazy as usual. Right. But she got out of the car, and we're both looking in awe, like, wow, we have never seen that. So I guess in our reality, we've never seen two rainbows end to end, but apparently other people have seen that. So.
Well, for me, it was like I saw my first one about 2.5 or 3 years ago. And I remember taking a picture. It was like, because I've never been in social media that much. I always start to do it and then like don't go visit my account. And that was like I was like, I've got to put this on Instagram. This is something people are going to want to see, a double rainbow. I've never seen. And I'm like freaking out. I put it on Instagram. I need to go back and see what date that was. But that was the first one I ever saw. And like I said, that was just maybe 2015 or 2016 that happened. So it's new to me. I lived my whole life not seeing it. But since then, I've seen maybe 3 or 4. So what are the chances I live my whole life and not see any, but then see like about one per year the last few years,
Yeah, what are the chances of that? And do you remember when you posted it, if everybody was saying, wow, that's amazing, I've never seen it, or I've seen one ever? Like, was it a new event?
Well, the second one was so faint that, a lot of people just thought maybe they didn't notice the second one, I think. Because a lot of times it's like one really bright one and one fainter one. But, I mean, in the picture you can clearly see it. Not as good as in real life, but still it got captured in the photo. And, most of the people I talked to, they were like wild by it. But because it was faint, nobody knew for sure, that if they just not noticed it before. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting what's next. I've got a shaman friend who we've done some work together with clients, and we're both like, what's going to be the next gift? What's going to be the next? Because we will get an upgrade to our gift. She's like, something happened to me, a few days ago in New York, and it's some new gift, and I'm waiting for it to explode.
Yeah.
Like she's waiting, like, what is this going to be? I was told you've got a new gift, and she said she felt like a vibration on her head or something, like an attachment to her head, but a positive attachment, know. And she's like, oh my gosh, what's it going to be? So,
yeah,
it's like the people.
I was going to say, I've seen with the double rainbows. Have you noticed where there'll be a rainbow and like inside of it looks like more golden, and then like the outside of it's like the color from the inside to the outside is different. Sort of.
I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at my picture because that was the only one we had ever seen. So I'll have to go back and look. And,
okay.
And I was talking to one of my clients. She said she had just seen one, like as soon as she found out who her twin flame was in the last year or two. She's only had seen one. She said, I've seen one since I've met my twin flame. And but yeah, I'll have to go back and talk to people and look at my picture and everything because I just don't know. It's just a different kind of thing in the world to me, like Rainbow Mountain. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild times. So you definitely, okay, yeah, you said that at the beginning about the yellow sun. So the yellow sun thing it's weird it being white to you too then, right?
It's a change, and I was out one night picking up some things. I was with my twin flame. We were getting some things for his son at one of these little hobby stores. I won't say the name of the store, but we walked out, and I was like, look at the sky. And this was more earlier springtime, so the weather was really nice. I was, look at the sky. It's so blue. And they're just like, whatever. I mean, it's like, did they not see it? Because I had never seen such a beautiful, bright blue evening sky before. And I'm just standing there in awe at the beauty. And it's almost as if I was feeling some vibration in the air because I was just feeling extremely peaceful, extremely happy. And they're just like, where are we going to eat? You know, they're just chatting about dinner. Do you want this sandwich shop over here? No, me and Angie don't want that. I'll take you over there. So we're going to get something else. You know, it's like they're having this conversation about whatever that was kind of a lower vibration. And I'm like in this high vibrational, beautiful feeling, seeing everything beautiful around me when they're just like, whatever. Right. So, yeah.
Well, it sort of put in my mind the idea of when I saw the rainbow and the color was different. It was like, man, it's almost like a rainbow doorway or archway is sort of what it reminds me of with like golden light coming through it. But it's all new to me. So, and somebody, while I'm thinking about the sands from the Sahara blowing in, somebody pointed out the fact that there's like quartz in sand, and that we've got that in our atmosphere flying around, and it amplifies energy. And that, our power of manifestation and things like that might be stronger now that we've got this quartz all in our atmosphere, almost surrounding our whole globe. So I was like, oh, man. So our power of 8 at 8 tomorrow night might be extra powerful, with all of our intention. That's something to think about because quartz is in sand, Makes you wonder.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of the event. That's like just a prelude to the event to help raise people's gifts.
Totally.
Or raise the vibration if quartz is floating around. So,
yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing.
I asked about the event back in early June when I did that QHHT session, and I got September, but I kind of want to ask you about it again Tuesday. I'm still formulating all my questions. Yeah. So,
I'm expecting big changes in September. It was, I think Nathan was talking about, he got that September song or something, the 28th day of September. So I don't know that, we're going to get zapped to another new Earth or something on that date. I don't really subscribe to something like that, but I think we might have a quantum shift or at least something big happen,
Yeah, it would be nice to have a big shift because I saw September 8th, but I didn't know if it was an 8, 18, or 28, and then it like turned on the side like infinity sign.
Oh yeah.
So I was trying to get the meaning of that, but
only time will tell.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, I do appreciate you calling in, Angie.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'll continue listening. So.
Okay, lots of love and light to you there in Houston. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much. Bye.
No problem. Bye-bye. Awesome. So, have you guys been, are you somewhere where you're experiencing this Saharan desert dust storm with particles of sand all around the globe. You know, Mars has a full-on dust storm going on right now. It's kind of odd, isn't it? Mars is really close to us right now. Closest it's been in like, I want to say the early 2000s, 2003 or 2000. I don't know. But I have noticed while we're talking about September, you know, we have the equinoxes. So we got the one in March, which is when I woke up, and then the one in September, which a lot of people seem to wake up around that September date. I know Guy Fawkes, you know, the other YouTuber, he had his experience on September 22nd or 23rd or something like that. And of course, that date is coming. Could it be something like that there? Yeah, sorry, Jose. You're up in Canada, but it'll probably make its way up there. It might not be as noticeable. But when you look at the map, when Mr. MBB333 shows that map, it looks like it's pretty much everywhere. It's just the thickest around, you know, the center of the globe. That's wild. Yeah, other people are reporting it. You know, and I think people just don't know because, you know, with all the stuff that gets sprayed around and all the stuff going on, you just never know if it's smog or something, you know what I mean? But when I saw the sun look yellow, I was like, man, this is wild. And I had noticed that before I heard Mr. MBB333 talking about it. Yeah, Go-Kart Bob, September is harvest season. I noticed that word harvest triggers a lot of people, though. They just automatically imagine that we're going to get harvested out by some, you know, otherworldly beings or something. So I like the term itself. It's one that Jesus used in the Bible, and it's one that was used in the Law of One, which I love the Law of One. I think it's got a lot of great information. I don't mind it, but I'm not really in fear about getting, you know, harvested by some kind of reptilian beings and stuff like that, you know. And I know about all the conspiracies surrounding it and the theories involved with that and all the eyes that you can catch in videos and things like that. But I'm just not worried about it. It's not something that bothers me at all. So, sorry, Angie, I got your name still on the screen there. All right, phone lines are open. We've got about 30 minutes left. Anybody like to call in? Jupiter Ascending. Is that a movie? Yeah, I think I heard somebody talk about the name it changed from Jupiter Rising to Jupiter Ascending as a Mandela effect, if I remember right. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it. Yeah. Jesus told a parable of the harvest. Back to the phone lines. This is Shane. Who's calling in?
Ronnie in Florida. How you doing?
Ronnie in Florida. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. No barking dog tonight.
How was your trip?
It was great. I didn't find my place, but we found a place for my son.
That's a start.
It is a start. It was huge. I realized, you know, I was getting ahead of myself. I'm not a patient person. I never have been. It's the thing I need to work on the most.
Yeah.
And I am learning how to retrust my intuition and listen to my guides. And I had kind of started to not trust myself. I had some bad things happen, and I just decided I wasn't able to trust myself anymore, that I made bad decisions. And so I'm relearning, and I think that this was part of it, that what I saw and I decided I wanted, when I saw it in person, it was like a totally different house. It was crazy. The pictures online, they were like, oh, it was perfect. It was really a beautiful house. It was perfect. And when we went to see it, it was just like falling apart, cracks, and, you know, it was like, how did they hide all of this? This is bad. So, yeah. It didn't work out. But my son and his girlfriend are going to be moving down, so I'll have a house to stay at when I keep my search going and trust my angel when they say, nope, this isn't your place, that they mean it. Because I got that. I kept saying, this is my place, right? They were like, no, that's not for you. I was like, yeah, it is. This is my place. I love this place. They're like, no. So yeah, I let my rational brain get ahead of my intuition. And
that's like that too. It's like when that kind of points to the fact of what the person's like too. If they're trying to hide stuff in photos and things like that, then what else are they hiding? And I liked when we were looking for cars, the people that would really take a close up of dings and wrecks and stuff like that. Like, all right, now this person's clearly, it sort of gave you a look into the character of the person. They're letting you know right off the bat, don't come and look at this if you don't want this big ding here on the hood or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like where other people were clearly trying to hide stuff. I'm like, what else are they hiding? So just a little tip for you guys looking for cars or houses out there. If they're hiding stuff in the photos and you get there, they might be hiding something else. So.
Yes.
But you got your son there that he can go over there and see if they're hiding anything and without you having to take a long trip,
Yeah, that's definitely going to be great. So probably we're going to close on that in about a month. So he's winding his life up, and everything is just falling into place. It's just amazing. It really, really is. It's very exciting. And I just want to add that I'm not rich. This was an inheritance from my parents, and I just want to send out to the universe a big, giant thank you to them for giving us the opportunity to make our lives better. So it's huge. They were good people.
So how did you feel about the area, though? I know the house didn't work out, but did you like the feeling you got up in the area?
Oh, I love it. I just love it. It is beautiful. The people are so nice. I know I'm going to love living there. So it's just finding that place. And I told the universe, okay, I give up. I'm not pushing. I will wait, and you're going to drop it in my lap. I know it. Because that's where I'm supposed to be. So.
Yeah, just trust it's going to work out.
Yeah,
in the divine timing,
It is. It really is. It's so hard sometimes. I get anxious. It's like, I just want to go. I want to be there. I don't want to do all this in between stuff. I want to be right in that life now. But I'm still learning. So maybe when I learn how to be patient, they'll reward me with my place.
Yeah, definitely. That's been one of my challenges, too, is just getting impatient about everything. But that whole I am discourse really set me on the right track, because I was like that about this whole event thing. I was like, when is it going to happen? I'm just ready to get the heck out of here. But I realized I really wasn't ready. It was like you've got to learn to manage your own emotions and thoughts and stuff before you're ready. And if you're feeling like that, overwhelmed with impatience and stuff, then you haven't really got you got your emotions, under control.
Yeah, that's so true. It's everything. It really all ties itself up into a package when you start to look at it, and it is synchronicity, and it's learning and opening yourself up to seeing the lessons as they're presented to you. It's just so much fun. I'm having such a great time.
Yeah, it is like that. It's like enjoy the time while you can, guys. It's like you're going to look back and think, wow, those were great times. Why didn't I enjoy them more? So right now, start enjoying them, because this transition this is epic,
It really is. It's nothing like this has happened before. So, wow, we're so privileged to be part of it.
So
and
was
the
it
Mandela effect too?
Oh,
I
definitely.
see, I posted on somebody's site today, she was doing Mandela effects, and I was like, but these are all positive things when you look at it. Like the thinker, I was looking at it, it's like, all right, before his hand was up on his forehead, and he couldn't see anything. He was, it was all, I'm all in, and I'm thinking, and it's all rational brain. Now his hand's on his chin, and he's looking out into the universe, It's like it's a total change of feeling that comes with it, and to me, that's the message. Is you're not in your little your little train that goes around in your brain that's worrying, and you're thinking about this. Now you're thinking about the big stuff, the out there stuff. Put your focus out. And, the out is also the in, but it's also the out. So it's, the universe is out there and in here. But it's very, they're there. They're all there. If you tear them each apart and look at them, it's like they're all positive things. Like Mona Lisa was another one. She used to have that really tiny enigmatic smile, and now it's this big smile. There's nothing hidden about it. It's like she's smiling. Yeah, okay, and she's looking off to the side. So, to me, the message is go ahead and smile. Be happy. You don't have to hide it. Be happy.
Totally agree with that. But I have to say that people who notice that change, like, at that moment, that had to be freaky. You're like sitting at your office desk thinking, you glance over, it looks normal, and then you look back and it's smiling at you. That'd be pretty creepy.
Well, it is, but people we're so set in our ways, and we really don't respond well to change. And, so when reality itself starts changing around you, it's like I don't want to live like out west, because I've been in one earthquake, and it was so disturbing to me to have the earth moving beneath me, and that's what it's like. It's like everything, though, not just the earth, but reality itself is changing, and you can see it changing. And how weird is that? So I can see how people can be weirded out and freaked out and scared.
Sure.
But once you set the fear aside and just look at it from, you have to change your perspective. You have to want to change your perspective when you look at it. So.
Yeah, it really is the way you classify it, because all I did was shift my, perception of one of more optimism, and it suddenly changed everything to be a cooler, brighter thing about what was happening. So
it is. It's so much fun when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this changed. How could that happen? Awesome.
It's exciting. But it freaks you out at first because it doesn't fit into your worldview of how you think things work. So I get it, but at the same time, it's like it's been happening for a while now, and I know like the world isn't going to crack in half and swallow me up or anything wild like that. So I can relax about it now and just sort of enjoy how cool it is.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
So, well, I had one thing that I guess I need to explain how I talk. I talk about my angel a lot, and I don't have a higher self. I know that sounds crazy, but I wasn't a volunteer. I actually got volunteered kind of against my will, and I always knew something was wrong with my life. And I talked to a psychic, and she was like, yeah, you didn't want to come here. And I was like, this is true. I know it. It was one of those things, you just feel it. And I know why, because the person I was as a young child is the person that I associate with my higher self. And this was such an innocent, beautiful person, that the child that I was. And, life is hard, and you get knocked down, and I'm not that child anymore. And I feel like if I went back to my higher self now, that I would pollute her. I would pull on my garbage, So,
I understand that.
Yeah, so I talked to my guardian angel, who has, just really been all through my life. So many things that I can't even tell them all. That I lived very thoughtlessly, I would say, and just got myself into a lot of situations that I needed saving from. So there were a lot of them. So to talk, I don't hear things. I've only had where I've heard somebody speak to me a few times in my life. And so usually I use the tarot deck. And I don't use it like, the historical meanings to them. I set it up to where there's yes and no's. If it comes up this card, then it's a yes. If it comes up, that card, it's a no. And then the more specific message is in the picture. And I use an app. I don't actually use cards anymore. I use an app because it lets me mix, a bunch of different decks. Yeah, so I get different pictures with the same card. And so it's very specific because I'll see something in the card that I never saw before. So it's like, oh, okay, you're saying, I don't know. I can't think of any examples right now. But it's very fluid. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very good communication for me. And my angel, we were discussing where I had said that my angel said he is a Christian. And I just thought that cracked me up because I don't feel like I'm a Christian anymore. I was like, so you're a Christian. What do you feel about hanging out with this pagan now? And he was cool with it. And I was like, okay. But then I got an inkling that I needed to ask more. And I was like, okay, so you're a Christian. Are you a Muslim? Yes. Are you Hebrew? Yes. Are you Buddhist? Yes. Are you Luciferian? Yes. I mean, I just started naming. And to get that many yes answers in a row is beyond normal.
Right. Beyond chance. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, so you're all of these things, and all of these religions are, they have validity. And he was like, yeah. So it is what I finally got out of the conversation was that the hints to everything about our lives are in every religion. That you can, if you're not finding it in one religion, you can look in another religion, and you're going to find what speaks to you in it. And that just fits with what I always knew. I always just felt like, God is not so narrow-minded, and God will speak to people how they need to be spoken to.
Yeah.
So that they will hear his voice, So it just fits. It was so surprising to me, though. I was like, okay, this is just cool. Sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's just like, wow. It blows my mind. So I will free you up so you can get another caller in before it's time for us to all go. But I wanted to add one thing. Mm-hmm. I love you guys all so much. It has changed my life. I have something to really look forward to when I come into your chat room here and listen to the calls and watch your videos. It's just, you're doing such a great thing, and you do such a good job with it, too. Just love it. Thank you so, so much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, and we love you, and we love everybody. So
yeah, we do. It's all full of love. It's awesome. So
yeah,
thank
it really
you all
is.
for being such a welcoming group. It's awesome. Y'all rock. So good night.
Good night. Thank you, Ronnie.
I'm going to look. Bye.
Okay. Lots of love and light to Ronnie in Florida. And that's a good point, you guys, because it's like everybody's doing their part, and it's wonderful, and every part is important, and it's just so nice to see people coming together. This is Shane. Welcome to the broadcast. Whoop. Oh. Yeah, you were here. You're gone, though. Whoop. This is Shane. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. I just shut off the sound on my TV.
No problem. Who am I talking to?
This is Elizabeth from Idaho also.
Oh, awesome.
And I've only been watching you for a short while, maybe since May of this year. But I just wanted to tell you how much I love your programs, all of them. And I love learning about the Mandela effect. That was how I learned about you. I was checking out the Mandela effect, and that's how I found you.
Oh, awesome.
My experience with the Mandela effect, though, has been disappointing. I've tried to share it with so many of my friends and family, and nobody wants to pay any attention to it.
Yeah, I think that's par for the course, though. That was one of the reasons I was saying earlier that I felt like I was going to have to start playing along, is because it was like, why isn't everybody seeing this? I mean, it was like, and a lot of people were seeing it. It was like this one guy was a huge Star Wars fan. I'm like, C-3PO, his leg wasn't, what color was he? And he's like, he was all gold. I'm like, he didn't have a silver leg? He's like, no, that's ridiculous. I'm like, look at the images. And then I'm showing him images, and then he's like fiddling on his phone looking at something else. I'm like, how can you see that it's always been silver now? You know it wasn't silver.
Yeah.
Yet you're like reading text messages or something. I don't know, man. It's just weird.
It makes me think that they're just not getting it. They don't really understand that there's something supernatural here.
Yeah, definitely. Something supernatural is going on, and they just ignore it. And I think, some people just aren't ready to see it. That's why I think there's something for everyone, but they just, they'll see it in the right time, is what I'm thinking. I just feel like they're not ready, or maybe they don't need to see it right now, or for whatever reason, this seems to be like it's micromanaged on a divine level. So people, we're being activated. The people that are supposed to see it when they're supposed to see it, and they're awakened to what they're supposed to be doing, So I wouldn't trip too much off of it.
Yeah, the one that woke me up to it was the Bible verse, the lion and the lamb. That really spoke to me because that was something that I actually had a connection with my grandmother over.
Right.
And I still have her Bible, and I got it out, and sure enough, it says the wolf.
Yeah. Was it highlighted?
No.
Oh, okay. I've seen people who are like, it's under my highlight, and freaking out.
No. Her Bible's not highlighted. Some of the pages are dog-eared, but she never wrote in it. But then the other one, and this, I don't know, this might tell my age. I'm an older person.
A lot of us are.
But when the first McDonald's opened in Los Angeles, that's where I'm originally from, is the LA area. The one thing on the menu that was my favorite was the Big Mac.
Right.
And so I know it was McDonald's spelled M-A-C back then.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the Big Mac wouldn't have made any sense.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And, when I first heard about that, I wasn't on board with it, but somebody had recreated the logo, and when I saw it, it brought back childhood nostalgia, and I was like, why would I have these childhood feelings come back so strongly from seeing this if it wasn't that way? So I don't consciously remember it, but I have like a feeling that came over me of leaving church with my dad and stopping by McDonald's at the time, and he always called it McDonald's, but I just thought,
but I think it happened a long time ago. I don't think this Mandela effect is recent.
Right.
I think that changed a long time ago, because to me it's been MC for quite a long while. But once it came up on YouTube, and I realized that they're right. It was MAC back in the day.
Yeah. So
for me, anyway, I think it changed a long time ago.
I agree, because the feeling I got, I was like, I think even preschool age, and I'm 44 now, so I would say it changed 40 years ago, or close to 40 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. That's about how long ago that I
would say 70s, late 70s, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And somebody's writing McDonald's into the thing, and it looks completely right to me. It doesn't look funny with the MAC in there. That looks totally...
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I agree with you.
No, the Big Mac didn't change. The Big Mac's still here, and she was just... Somebody's in the chats, don't worry, the Big Mac didn't disappear on us. You never know these days, it's like, what? There's no Whopper? Never was a Whopper, sorry. But it's exciting once you can kind of get over the shock of it, and you can have a lot of fun with it, I think.
You can. I think it's awesome that it's like a sort of like a tool for us to help people wake up. I just haven't been able to use it effectively on very many people.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's helped as a tool for me, mentioning tools, is that once you realize it's like a benevolent force doing this, and you change your mindset to see it as like the divine God or whatever you want to call it, it's allowing these things or changing these things for us. You're like, if he can change reality, or it can change reality in an impossible way, then no matter what my situation is, it can be changed in an impossible way. And that has been really a huge trust builder for me. I don't even say faith anymore, because, you know, I kind of got this vision between faith and trust as like a chair. You know, you like, a chair might seem rickety and you're like, well, I'm going to trust it. You know, it's, I don't know, you sit in it. But if you get a nice solid wooden chair, you don't even think about it. You just sit on it and know it's going to hold your weight. And so that's sort of where I am with trust. And now I know that if something happens, it happened for a reason, because I know it could have been stopped. You know what I mean? And it's really changed my whole perspective.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's really powerful. So was that your biggest one, the McDonald's? Did you notice that a long time ago or just recently?
No, just recently. I'd never paid any attention to it before.
Right.
But when I saw it come up on YouTube, then I realized that it changed a long time ago.
Right.
Because all these years I've been used to it saying McDonald's with an MC, but I realized right away that it wasn't that way in the beginning.
Yeah. And that's funny that you said that, because I think a lot of people see changes, but you just assume, like, you know, they shortened it. You know, who thinks the impossible? Do you remember J.C. Penney being spelled Penny?
Yeah.
Okay, because that looks so long and odd. No. Oh, you don't remember it the old way?
Yeah, I do remember it the old way because I worked for them.
Oh, okay.
And it was the old way. And I remember going to work, and this was not too long ago. This was probably, I think probably 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little less. I provided a service for them. I didn't actually work in the store.
Oh, right.
So I went there to speak with them, and I would go like 2 or 3 times a week. And one day, a couple of years ago, I looked at that sign and I thought, that is really odd. They've changed their name.
Right.
And then I never thought any more about it. I just let it go. I just ignored it, because I'd never heard of the Mandela effect before.
Right. You assume there's some rational reason for it. You know?
Exactly. Because, you know, companies do change, and they will change things.
Yeah.
So I just didn't pay it any mind until I saw the YouTube video that said it was never the other way.
Right.
And then I knew that that wasn't true, because
there's been a few like that for me that I noticed beforehand, you know, but didn't before I knew what the Mandela effect was. And then, like, after I started looking into it, I'm like, oh, I noticed that. I just assumed that they changed the dash in their name, like with Coca-Cola. I remember the little curvy line. I remember it without a line, but apparently it's always had that little dash in there. And it's weird, because I worked at a flea market at the time, so you'd be able to walk around and find old signs and things like that, and you'd see this old Coca-Cola sign, and you're like, what? It always had it. That's so weird. That's just so wild, you know? I was finding old Bibles there, and I look up some of the scriptures, and that's like, I worked there when I realized it. So, you know, of course, I'm like, look at this. Do you remember it used to be lion and lamb? And you're like, you know, and nobody was catching on. I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to have to start playing along. I had to leave that job because I couldn't help but talk to people about it, and the response I was getting was not positive at all, you know.
Yeah, I've tried, you know, when, like, if I'm standing in line in the store or something, or I have the opportunity to just start up a conversation with someone, I'll bring it up. They rarely want to talk about it or want to hear about it.
Yeah.
There was one. I had one guy that actually listened to what I was saying. I was telling him about the Bible verse of the lion and the lamb, and he got really interested, and he actually wrote it down so that he'd remember to look it up. And that was kind of surprising to me, because he's probably the only one has responded that way.
Yeah, it's kind of what I expected everybody to be like that. Really? I've got to look into that, but you don't get that very much.
I know.
That's why we got each other here. That's what it's so comforting
Yes.
to have our little group here where we can all like be normal around each other, and it doesn't have to be strange that we're
Yes.
talking about impossible things happening, because we all see it happening. You know, even if we don't see all of the same
Yeah.
things, we at least see some of it happening. So.
Yeah, I think everyone on your group sees that we are in a very exciting time
Mm-hmm.
in our world, and that it's really kind of amazing to be on this planet at this time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, nothing like I ever expected either. You know.
Yeah. I've known since I was a real young girl that I came here to this planet for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
to see something happen, to watch something happen. And I believe now that this is it, because I never felt like what it was I was waiting for had happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel like it is happening. Whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
it's this, whatever it is that's happening,
Totally.
if that makes any sense.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, totally. So yeah, I'm just
Well,
excited to see what's going to happen from here on. So.
Me too. Every day seems kind of exciting and inspiring, where it wasn't so much for a while there. It was the world was getting kind of negative and hectic and uninspiring. But now it's turned around.
Yeah. Are you into art or music or writing or anything, Elizabeth?
I am an artist.
Okay.
I paint, and I have excuse me, I have a couple of other art forms. Why?
It's just like we were talking earlier, it seems like people that really see this happening are engaged with the right part of their brain more. They're more into the arts and things.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
And that's sort of the divine
consider myself
feminine.
an artist.
You know, the right brain is sort of the divine feminine God-like part of the creator part of our brain. So if you get into the arts, you're tapping into that creator, you know, part of it.
Yeah.
So I think that has a huge part to do with it. We didn't grow up too much.
Yeah, I think you're right. What I mean? I think, yeah, exactly. I still feel like I'm 20 years old.
Yeah, me too. I feel like a kid, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was taking off in a light the other day there was like a Camaro or something next to me, and I took off kind of fast, just toying around like I'm racing or whatever, just right off the bat, just playing around. And I asked my wife, I'm like, am I ever going to grow up? I don't think I'm ever going to grow up. And of course, the guy smoked me, you know, because, you know, I wasn't really racing, but I was just toying around.
Oh, that's fun.
But it's fun. It's good to be a kid at heart, you know.
Yeah. And I remember my mother telling me, you know, she was in her 80s, telling me that she still felt like she was 20 on the inside.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I think maybe it's that way for everybody that has that artistic side, that right-sided brain.
Yeah, because it is like
young inside forever.
Yeah, because that's what you do as a kid when you're pretending and playing with your, you know, your cars or your dolls, whatever you did as a child. Yeah. And you're sort of, you know, playing school and house and all that different stuff. And it's like, it's just, you're in your own little world. And it's like, I think even it was Jesus that said, you know, become like little children or something like that. And it's like that same idea of just staying young at heart and being creative. So
creative, yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, exciting times. I'm so glad to have you with us here.
Sure is.
On this journey.
Well, I just really wanted to say a big thank you. I love your program, and I'll be a follower forever.
Yes, we get to see where this is going to go. It's a mystery, but we're going to be together, so that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Lots of love and light to you, Elizabeth. Thanks for calling in.
Love to you too, Shane. Thank you.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That is awesome. Elizabeth in Idaho. And that is going to round this session out. My wife has to work early, so I can't stay on until midnight like last week. But good news, we went over 4 hours last week, and it looked like it was erasing the beginning of the video. But once it got finished processing, the other 7 or 8 minutes went back on. So in the future, if I want to do a coast-to-coast style 4-hour broadcast, but keep in mind, those guys get commercial breaks and stuff, so it's at least a couple minutes to run to the bathroom and get a drink and stuff like that, My wife was like, I don't know how you did it. Like, yeah, luckily I didn't have to go to the bathroom or anything. So anyway, lots of love and light to you guys. I hope you can join tomorrow night for the Power of 8 at 8 with Eileen and I. Eileen from One Channel. Sunday, going to have a really special guest, someone that's gotten into the whole, he's on the cumin, the 4chan or 8chan, Infinity Chan message boards, and Anon from there. And that's going to be a pretty cool show on Sunday afternoon. And then, of course, Monday, we have Magenta Pixie on. I'm looking forward to that. Her newest book is awesome. So many synchronicities. So we're going to get into that. And she was actually on with, just today, she was on with Jeffrey Daugherty. It was a great enlightening program. She was on with him about a month ago or so. And that was an awesome show, too. And you can really see how we're all being united together. Oh, thank you, Ronnie in Florida. You can see how we're all being brought together and just across all the different, whether it's the truther community, which we'll get into that Sunday, because I think this is all tying together. It really transcends religion and politics and all of that. And we're going to have fun. So we'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That works out to be midnight GMT, if that's not too late for you guys over in the UK. And so we'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love and light to each and every one of you guys. Have a good one.